something similar to inside the tank we do with the Challenger on the S-Tank. But we're going to give it a bit of a spotlight because it's a really rare, iconic, and unusual vehicle. So we plan on making at least 3 episodes or mini-series on it, and we plan making them for 10 to 15 minutes. So the S-Tank is getting the proper coverage, and we're going to cover the prototypes from A, B to C.
When will it come?
So we plan to start shooting, you mean the documentary or the tank in the game?
The tank is there.
So we have already started actually working on researching the Swedish tree. So we're currently gathering the references and doing the live measurements. We've even had 2 visits to this particular museum to gather the information. But at the moment, as we're still in the process of gathering info, we still don't have a fixed deadline. But I'm fairly sure and fairly confident I can tell you that we will not wait for a very long time for the Swedish line.
And you will have Swedish voices.
Actually, I quite look forward to that.
Is it an entire Swedish tree then and not a young tree between different nations?
So that's still something that's currently on the table, whether we will add it as a separate tree or whether it's going to be part of a multinational tree. But the thing is, with Sweden, I'm quite confident that we might have enough to actually add it as a separate tree. But irregardless, even if we add it as a part of a multinational tree, it's still going to bear all the Swedish markings and distinctions and the flags. So no Swedish identity on the tanks would actually be lost. The only reason why we're saying that some of the nations may go to the multinational tree is because some of them don't have enough to actually build a full line. Believe it or not, the most issues we actually encounter with research for tanks is mid-tiers. So basically tanks from like tier 4 to tier 6, 7, because for those, like the World War II was the best period for development, but the rest are the higher tiers or the lower tiers, and those we have, but we don't really have conflict era tanks. So that's why some of the nations don't really have a strong history of development. And yeah, here Ash will show you how the Shinobi will look.
Yeah, Japanese nation coming to blitz. Look at some of our videos.
Yeah, can you play the Warspite teaser? Actually expand on that.
This one.
Yeah.
Ljudet.
How many of you do actually watch Inside the Tank series with the Challenger? So, that's really good to know. Actually, he has a really big following here. I need to tell you that. I'm very happy with that. I work with him very closely on those projects and really take great pride in making them for our community and especially catered. And just because of that, we're actually working on launching a new series, which is going to be called Inside the Ships, and we plan on covering ships. So the format should be similar to tanks, similar but longer because we need to fit in more content, but it's going to be from 10 to 15 minutes, and we're going to do series. And we've just filmed 3 episodes in Asia. We filmed the HMS Vampire, and we've filmed the USS Springfield and Daewon in Thailand. So those should be coming with us very soon. And we also plan on covering most of the available preserved ships. So we plan on filming Bliskowitz, Belfast, Caroline in Chatham, and most likely some of the battleships in the US. So something nice to look forward to if you're a fan of historical videos. And this is a very nice trailer displaying the new map that we will be adding to the game, the Rubicon. It's basically Paris on fire with the Eiffel Tower being destroyed. Now there's a reasoning behind that. One of our developers visited Paris and he had a really bad baguette, and then he went back home, got slightly upset, destroyed the Eiffel Tower. Like, how can I take my vengeance on these French people? I'm going to make the Eiffel Tower go boom.
It's actually quite like this around our office in Paris. It's just like this in Paris.
First time I saw this trailer, I was really disappointed. I was expecting Romans. have to complain to our marketing department. So if we actually had sound, maybe we can, if we can actually figure out sound, I would show you one of the Inside the Tanks episodes,
Okay.
because I think we now have time.
So is tier 10 going to be the final tier forever for the oil tanks, or will there eventually be more tiers?
So we do not have the plans to actually expand on more tiers, but we may look into other different options how to actually add more vehicles.
Yeah. No, as I've been in community teams for, I don't know, quite a few years now, I'll definitely say never. So
Yeah.
who knows? We
Yeah,
might do it.
precisely.
We might want to do something more.
Yeah, at the moment there are no plans to actually change the tier limitations, but we are looking into modern vehicles.
Kan du fråga om också?
Perfect time to buy more.
Yeah, precisely.
Frågan om inblandade är om de också har en sån adapter på att de ska släppas med.
So if anyone's got any questions, please don't be nervous about asking. Just
Yeah.
raise your hand.
Kan du fråga om du kan ge skuld?
Yeah, no stupid questions, sir.
Gör det. Det kan inte.
I've explored all the way up to A, but I sold my T54, which I now regret. If I buy a T54, can I shift through from T62 down and keep shifting between the tanks?
So you would still need to retrain them, but the penalties for the retrainment would be minimal because the tanks are of the same class. So basically you can still...
You can't move the crew to another tank without any kind of penalty.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this crew is already trained for the T54, so they don't remember the training.
Yeah, they don't.
Like
Did
normal
you?
humans.
Yeah. Did you? I assume when you put them to the T62, you retrain them, right? Yeah. Then you would have to retrain them back to the one. But it's still a recommendation because if you do it even with the credit option, they will only lose a small percentage of like what I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 20%.
You can argue that it was more historically accurate if they could remember history.
I teach the talk from the tank. As you learn the new tank, you don't get a lot.
Yes.
That's true.
So the only way they usually don't forget their training is with premium. So in premium tank you can basically shift in anything. So if you have the premium tank of the same class, you can just put the crew from any tank. Anything else,
Det är från
gentlemen?
Nigel. Det är från
Yes.
Svenstigen.
Do you have any plans to actually rebalance Golden ammunition?
Sorry?
Do you have any plans to rebalance Golden ammunition?
I still didn't. I will actually go.
Rebalance gold ammunition.
In what regards?
Batist.
Like in your own opinion, what is imbalanced with the gold ammunition at the moment? Because from our perspective, statistically, we're not seeing an issue like number-wise.
Well, when I drive tanks like the E5 and the E100, people just shoot, gold and not what call it aim for weak spots and something.
But I'd kind of be prone to argue over that because our numbers for the use of gold ammunition don't actually say that it's that significantly used. I think it's more the perception of us being shot upon by something and then just going, yeah, he must be using gold ammo. We are not really getting that. Of course, people do use gold ammo. It's there, it's present, but it's not being massively used, and it's not being used in that way that it would actually harm the balance of the game. Especially as it is still available for credit purchases. Technically, it's available to everyone.
You know that there are models
Polen.
that show you what type of ammunition is
Ja, men
used.
de är på gång inspel.
But those modes are not
Är det bara i det
very
landet?
reliable though. They can be another situation, but they're not 100%
I
reliable.
mean, but, there's like, when I drive, for example, my DK4502, and I always am being shot with PCR or hit shots. Practically always.
And which tanks do you usually drive?
I mean, I like heavy armor too.
Yeah.
Heavy armor tanks like the 175 DK45 OTP, and I wanted to start researching the new heavy tanks of Japanese factory, but since I always get shot by, from people always shoot me with gold ammo because they cannot penetrate me otherwise. So it's like for me it's pointless to use those tanks more and longer. I mean, like, what's the purpose of implementing tanks that rely strictly on armor and then making contamination available for some little amount of credit? It's just.
Well, that's the thing. From our perspective, even though your feedback is more than valuable, you're not seeing an issue with the actual usage of gold ammo, as in the decline in performance of those tanks. We track the statistics for the performance of every tank. So basically, you have a mouse, and we track the performance of the mouse. How many battles have been played in the mouse this day? How many kills have people achieved with the mouse? How much damage have they received, and etc. And those numbers are not showing a decline in performance efficiency of the heavy tanks. So even though feedback is noted, we can't really say that from our side it's like the gold ammo is having such a significant change. Yes.
But also in tennis, some of the standard ammunition is like ACP is equivalent. I mean, for other tiers, it's considered to be gold ammo.
Yeah.
So you can have a certain tank, you can shoot ACP ammo, and it's regular ammo.
Yeah.
For another tank, you shoot it's gold ammo.
Yeah, it depends on the tank class and what ammunition certain vehicle use. So the ammunition names do not necessarily denote its premium value. So with some tanks, the premium ammo would be high explosive. With some of them, it would be heat. With some of them, it would be APCR. So it depends on the basically the tank class and the armament it carries.
Will we ever see the Type 59 in the premium shop?
So never say never. At the moment, at the moment, we do not have any plans on the board to actually sell it, but we also do not have any plans not to sell it. So technically, it's never say never.
Yeah,
Christmas gifts?
it'd be unfair for us to raise your expectation about
Yeah.
that. I mean, it is possible that it could happen, like it's possible the moon could crash into the sun, or whatever.
Wow, good comparison.
Yeah, but it's probably more likely that it will happen than that, anyway.
No, so that's the thing. Currently it's not in the plans, but it's also not prohibited from sale. So yeah, it's a possibility, but at the moment nothing's planned.
I think Type 59G.
You mean the Chinese gold version?
No, I haven't seen a G version of the Type 59.
Where?
Some statistics about the type.
Ah. But to be honest, sometimes when you're testing vehicles, we add different numbers on it, so we can test it on the super test. So to be honest, I've not heard about Type 59G, and if anyone hears about new tanks, it's usually me. So it must have been either a naming issue somewhere, or they were just making a small change to the Type 59. Basically, when we're testing a vehicle, we clone it and we just name it like Type 59G, and then we run it on the server for a while and we rename it. So it must have been something similar to that.
I think I saw the high resolution models for the 259 had differences in the armor.
Oh,
Maybe it was testing that.
yeah, it could be possible.
I didn't see any static difference between the models, so I must ask.
Yeah,
I was the right person.
Yeah, thank you.
My reason for asking about the Type 59 is that when I started playing, it was available
Yeah.
in the premium shop, but when I realized I wanted it, it was like 2 months after you reviewed this through.
Oh no, it's always like
I
that.
mean, if you talk about justice, I want to say it kind of feels weird that it's not going to be available maybe ever again.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're keeping it open. Like,
Min fontän.
so it's definitely not off the table for the availability. So your day may still come. But at the end of the day, there are still plenty of really interesting times that you can play.
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining.
It's like a ghost ship or something, isn't it?
But it's become kind of a collectioner object.
It's going to be very high appeal.
So are you going to have some kind of trade system so you can trade tanks with other
See, that's not something that's currently under development, or not, at least not in the plans as far as I know. But it may just as well come in the future, but it's not really, it's not something I'm familiar with at the moment. Because it does seem like an interesting option, but at the moment there's nothing similar in the plans.
You don't have to open the market for seven.
Yes, precisely.
But about a year or so ago, we had this event with the racetrack.
Ah, race hall.
No.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Actually, we might. We're revising the use of older modes, and so we may actually see that reappearing in the future. And I really personally, I played that mode so much, and it was really, really fun. Especially in a platoon of 3, just racing. Any other questions? Yes? It means lightning. There were 2 ships made, Grom and Descalitza. Grom means thunder and Descalitza means lightning. Grom suddenly sank somewhere near, actually, coast of Norway. But we still have Descalitza.
How long did it take to implement Descalitza into the game?
So it took, yeah, that.
I'm old, so it's like, not a problem for me, you know?
It took us around 3 months of actual research. I've flown to Gdansk and Gdynia like 10 different times. I think they're joking now that I may receive a Polish passport. So yeah, it took us around 3 weeks, 3 months to gather all the research materials. And then, as I just highlighted, 3 months of development. And now it may go under a bit of testing. So at the end it was like 6 months, maybe a bit less. So with some of the ships, it may be a bit faster. That's why we have a variation between the ship development. It's sometimes between 3 to 7 months. With Descalitza, sadly, it went on the longer run because we had to gather the information. But yeah, at the end, it's like around 6 months. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but it's going to be a tier 6 ship. Yeah.
How fast will it be?
Fast?
How fast?
I think it's going to have, actually, that's a really good question. I should remember that. I think its top speed should be around 47 knots or something similar.
No.
Yeah, it was a very fast ship when it was launched. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? Yes? Go for it.
Why do I have to upgrade all my add-ons every time there's a new release? Like, I mean, I think it's like 2 revisions ago I had a really sweet mix of Artisan Zoom and DB Sight and a few others. And then you release a new version and they don't work anymore.
It's very much the same for lots of games though. Usually the mods rely on certain aspects of the code being exactly in a certain place. And if that part of the code has changed, the mod doesn't behave at all how it was intended to. And you get some really weird results at best, or you can even, the game won't even open. And we actually get quite a few people contacting our support team about, why doesn't my game work? Have you taken out your mods? Everyone hates taking out their mods, you know, especially if you have to wait a few days or whatever for people to update. I mean, I really appreciate that.
But luckily with World of Tanks, because we've actually done something to enable people to install the mods more easily, was to create a dedicated RAS mods folder. So if anyone has an issue, you can basically just go into the folder, remove everything, and it should be set in stone. And well,
the breaking of the mods isn't done in any kind of malicious intent.
Yeah.
It's just completely innocent.
Det är 15 minuter kvar på åkturerna för er med biljetter till TBV.
So you have this easy code and just switch everything.
yeah.
No, it's not even the same. It could depend. It really depends on what the mod adjusts. For example, you can adjust the interface, and you make some changes to the code for that. It will break that particular mod, but all the other ones will probably be completely fine.
Yeah.
That's why it's not always the same mod.
Yeah. And sadly, it's not possible for us to anticipate which mods use which parts of the code, and yet it's the same for the modder. It's not possible to anticipate the changes in the code structure.
There's very little we can do to prevent that.
We can do less updates and less patches.
Yeah, that would be good. And I know some people would appreciate it. Yeah, it's a really tricky thing. But it's common amongst many games. would be cool if we could get around it somehow, but
Yes.
I have a one question because you're implementing a new Czechoslovakian language, but not for two, right?
Yes.
Do you have any plans for implementing some other countries, like for example, Hungary, Italy,
Yeah.
Poland?
Yes, most definitely. So we've been looking into having a European tree for quite a while, and we're looking into quite a few nations. We were looking into Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Italy, but we'll most likely go with Italy as a separate nation because they seem to have enough tanks.
actually we mentioned some information in the forum, the World Tanks Forum recently, at least in the English section, about, it did mention the European trees, I believe. So have a look in there, I don't remember exactly what it said. It was quite a long piece of information, so it might just be translated into Polish.
Well, basically, yeah, we're definitely planning to have a European tree with different nations. Sadly, the problem we encountered with recreating the tech trees of less advanced tank nations is the fact that they don't have interim tanks. Like, they don't have the tanks that would generally be developed during the World War II, and those tanks would usually occupy the tiers from 4 to 5, so mid-tiers. So we can usually find low-tier or top-tier tanks. The low tiers were developed in peacetime, and top tiers are again developed in peace times, yeah, and they're more modern. So we have those, but for a lot of nations we just miss something in between, so we can't really do a full line, and you can't really have 1, 2, 3 and go to 8, 7, and etc. So that's why we're looking into European trees.
Seems like the strategy that you use, for example, for Japan and China. I mean, no, not Japan, for China. You will use the tanks that were either bought or captured in the war.
Yeah, but the thing is we try to avoid that, as we really try to have something that's a bit more authentic and a bit more historical. But yeah, that's one of the options. We're just trying to keep it as last resort.
I mean, and even if you will make a European taxi, how will the thing with like researching tanks, transferring tools, and those like it will be strange like to transfer a tool from a Romanian tank to a Hungarian tank.
Yeah, see, that's actually a very good question, and it's something that we are currently looking into. Because yes, just as you said, having a Polish line in the European tree and then transferring the Polish crew to the Swedish tank would be slightly unusual. So we definitely need to work around the solution for that. One could possibly be the transformation of the crew, but that's also kind of an unusual solution. But yeah, it's something that we're currently looking into, and that's why we kind of prefer more to have separate nations, even though some of them might be small.
Yeah, I kind of remember maybe some of the info in the forum did mention that we weren't going to have a European tree as a parent tree.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. So just have to check that out when you get a chance. Do you have any more questions? Please don't be shy.
Well, the new physics that you're coming out with the skidding and all that, can you talk a bit more to that?
What exactly would you like to know?
Well, as I understand it, first of all, you're going to be able to skid with your tank.
Well, yeah,
Already been tested.
yeah, it's currently under testing.
So is that going to be like you have an extra button for handbrake, you have to invoke it manually, or is it just going to be a calculation when
It's going to be at the moment what's on the plans is for it to be a calculation. We're basically just trying to amend the current physics without making too radical change. So it's basically just to make it a bit more realistic. Yeah, handbrakes are definitely a good option, but at the moment we're trying to keep the controls simple.
How about the jumping then? Because I mean the tracks go all the time. When you're playing now, how about when you're jumping like that?
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's also something we're currently looking into. Technically, we're a bit puzzled in what to do in that regard, because from the actual realism perspective, if you jump off a cliff, your tracks are going to get busted. Yet, if we continue doing that, the tanks are getting very damaged, so no one's really having fun. So we're looking into how we can actually merge those two issues and find a common solution.
More effective.
Parachutes and tanks.
So I think we've kind of extended this session out a bit. Hopefully we had fewer people again.
Yeah.
But just in case you didn't know, we've got 5 PCs upstairs with water tanks with unlocked accounts. So you can even see some tanks. I think they're all available on the
Yes,
EU server.
everything's available.
Yeah, okay. But you might see some rare tanks that you haven't got a chance to play yet. We're also